the end of the day, we did get right up to the prior day's sell area, which was 285.90. We highlighted that in yesterday's morning meeting. These little spikes above that. So I guess the same seller was there because I didn't even see this at the end of the day. I guess it wasn't on the desk. Went to that seller and it just went straight down $1. So there's definitely somebody selling there. It's interesting. So if we notice on the 30-minute a close above this blue line right here, then that seller is done. And if we get below 284.80, I would notice that as well. But right now, all it is, you know, hard move off the 279. We moved back into this area, and we're just now moving sideways with very compressed volatility. IWM, I took a glance at earlier. It's still hanging out below 168. So same level we've been talking about for the last few days. I guess it did the same thing at the end in terms of getting up to that level and then got hit. Still right there. On the open, it got hit pretty hard. So on the open, there was some selling. Actually, a pretty decent move there on the open yesterday. It dropped $1.20. I remember Apple on the open yesterday. It dropped a couple of dollars pretty quickly as well. So there's certainly someone liquidating on the open yesterday, some stocks. I mean, quite a bit, but nothing really new to report here. In terms of if we start to notice it closing above 168 or below 167, that might actually catch my attention. All right, so a lot of things to go over. So let's start with Roku. So Roku is a really hot IPO in the last year. And like most hot IPOs, ran up the first couple of months and then came in. And then if we looked at it, as it was reporting, as it bottomed in the 20s and got back above 32, because the IPO market was so hot and I think we were seeing things like IQ make new highs, my thought process was in the last earnings, if it gapped up, it could start to work its way back up to $50 a share. But you kind of see, you go back to May 10th is when it was the number one idea on the sheet. It had gapped up, or I think we had 38. Yeah, that's right. So 38 was our inflection for that day on May 10th. Right on the open, it was a few cents above, got below, filled the gap. The next day, it tested kind of the accumulation area where it had been accumulated the prior month before earnings. Was bought there, then it was accumulated for about a week at 33.70, and then took out that 38. So, you know, since then, like just basically this last quarter, it's been in this uptrend. Now we're gapping this morning 50, the bid's above 52. When I looked at the numbers, it was a strong revenue beat. They guided strong gross profit for next quarter. So that this move here from the mid 30s up to the 50s appears to be justified now. I just don't know if it's enough for it to get to the all-time high. You know, we've talked about the theme that we've recognized for this quarter's earnings was if stuff was gapping up into the all-time high area and they beat and they guided higher, the pattern has been, and we saw this with Twilio a few days ago, the pattern has been, even if there's quick profit taking on the open, it'll then take out the high, or say it was gapping even above the high, it would come in a little bit, test the prior high, and then go to higher prices. I'm not convinced on the guidance side of it. The numbers were very strong, the 10% beat on revenues. I'm not convinced on the guidance side that this is the same pattern there now, so I'm just a little bit more cautious. So that's kind of my feeling on that. So from a pure technical standpoint, it's acting like that's what it's going to do, but I just wanted to give you a heads up when I look at that guide. So you can kind of see, I think that's why initially when the numbers came out and it did this, then it actually went straight down from 50 to 46. There was a little confusion. And it did close at the after hours high, and it is 51.60, and it is gapping above there right now. So I would say, you know, as long as it's above this area right here, you can definitely be focused on the long side. But if we get one of those situations where in the open it does this, and then it takes out this support here, and it can't get back above 52, it could erase this move and come right back into 48. And we know Roku is a history of some just incredible reversals. So that is that. I'm going to go to the next thing. Yelp. So Yelp. So this is another one where the earnings a little bit different. The earnings look really good. EPS. The revenues weren't so great. But if our EPS is really good and revenues aren't great, that means that margins were good. And if you can earn $1. Actually, forget that example. But basically, if your EPS numbers are good and the revenues aren't that strong, it just means your gross margins are strong. And the stock is way off the highs. And by the way, when I'm talking about these fundamental things, I don't really personally care about them. I'm giving you insight into them because I'm trying to give you the thought process of people who are running hedge funds or mutual funds or large institutions, what their thought process is, because that thought process is going to guide whether or not they're willing to kind of pay up for a stock or it's going to more likely to sell off in reverse and that sort of thing. And so for short-term traders, that's the only reason we care about that. Is what are the people with, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars, what is their thought process with these positions and how they're performing? So Yelp, 44.5, 45, 42. So the last few months it was sold coming into this number. You can see this might have been a takeover rumor here probably. That happens every couple of months in Yelp as a takeover rumor. So that's just that. So basically, everybody who bought in the last month and a half is now feeling pretty good. That's this area here. And really, we're now up to where people were buying in May. And just notice like this pullback from 48 to 42, you put a strong bounce here. We came back, we tested it. We couldn't get above, is this 44? Did I put that on the sheet? 44.5. We couldn't get above. We broke below. And then we kind of, even when we gapped above it, we sold off pretty quickly right back below it. So that's kind of how we're coming up with those levels. And so you can kind of see the initial reaction at top to 44.5. What did it come down and test? 42. It's not a coincidence. Because in the after hours, people are watching the levels from the recent months and kind of like, oh, okay, 42 is important. They buy in the pullback to 42, takes out the after hours high. It's flirting with this, but this is real resistance here between 44.5, 45. So any type of failure up in this area here lead to the retest of 42. I don't know if it's going to bring us all the way down to the next support, but this is a good starting area for us. It's almost 2 ATRs, this range from bottom here to here. So we'll go from that, and then we'll see what happens after the open. ECAD is a lower price stock, more liquid. Anyone can trade this. We talk about stocks like this that are beaten down and then they guide down quite a bit. Does that put in the bottom? Now, one of the analysts I already noticed in the news feed basically said that. They already said this guide down now gives people a good opportunity to get in longer term. So here's the last few years. Actually, it was a wild stock the last few years. I feel like every time we punched it up, it was either like a 20 or 40. Just kept on going up and down. Finally broke below recently. It's been holding below 20 for a while now. And in the pre-market or the after hours, it tested this gap. We got to go all the way back to 2013. This was the beginning of, I guess, this bigger move up to $50. So it already tested this. This Baird or whatever the analyst is says it was good entry. It already had a $1.50 bounce to 13. I'm not a big fan of buying it up in this area up here. But down here, maybe if it makes a higher low. So this is what we have. Did I put that on the sheet? What did I put on there? 12, 1150. Yes, I did. So these are our two potential support areas. And then 13, 1350. $0.77 ATR, two ATRs is $1.50, so that would give us. It ends up being strong, and they flush it into 12, and it's strong today. This would be a two ATR range. That would be my kind of my starting thought process. If it did pop on the open and got above 13, and then failed there, and you saw it below 1290, I think that would be a pretty good short trade as well. The next one is PRGO, which can be a pretty tough stock to trade. I like this one in terms of where it's gapping to. So this one's been trying to bottom for a while. Let's take a quick look at the daily. So it was a $200 stock. Last year it got into the 60s. There was some gap down to 70 and some probably down guidance, whatever. That was the low. And then something happened where they gapped up to $75. So it got all the way up. It looked like it was going to push 100. Maybe the long-term bottom was in, and then it came right back down. Did a retest of the 72, where it had gapped down from last year. It tested it 3 times, and that's where we're gapping to today. So there's some people caught probably buying it above 75 the last month or so, from July 10th to August 10th. So this gives us a pretty good picture of the last 3 months. So this is, the bid is right here right now. It's like right here. So what was the news was, yeah, it was not good. They reduced guidance by 15% on the earnings side for the year. I think the reason it's only down 7% is because of how much it's down overall. But this 72 is a really good potential inflection area. So if we look at it, so earlier in the pre-market, it was down at 71. At 8 o'clock, when the institutions got in, they started to buy it here at 72. It's only done 170,000 shares. That's 15% of its volume. And the trade basically is it bought here? You play it for a bounce to 74, 75. If it's not bought here and it drops below and it can't get back above, you play for a move down to 70. And that's that. We're on a conference call right now. Yesterday's stuff. No, actually CVNA, which somebody brought up in the chat. I don't think I've ever traded this before. It looks like a competitor to that CarMax or whatever it's called, those places that sell the used cars. Maybe that is CarMax and they just changed their name. So I'm not sure. So it had a really good quarter last quarter. Let's look at it on the daily. So I guess it gapped up and then it came down and it filled the gap, it tested. And so it's gone up now from 25 to 50. So it's doubled since last quarter. So that's a lot. And the numbers were really good. They beat by 10%. They got it higher. So if it's going to go down today, it's because it's just already doubled from last quarter. So it normally only trades 800,000, but it could trade between 2 and 4 million shares today. So I have no real support until down here. And I have, right, so there is no resistance. There's basically the after hours high or, the after hours high and then nothing. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on because it's, mainly because it's up so much the last quarter and they beat. So I put it last because I don't know much about it and it's normally a very thin stock. But we'll check in with it based on what it does on the open. For example, on the open, it actually spikes above the after hours high, and then I see it below 54. I would look for it to come in to, at least to here. Then we'll see what happens. AOI. So this one was pretty good yesterday. And obviously topped out in the after hours. The main thing there, I think, on this one was just the guidance wasn't that good. The number, they beat pretty good. So it went straight down on the open to our support area. It bounced $2, but it couldn't get above 44.50 here, and then again here. And then finally, midday, when it took out the morning low, it was a clean down move. Didn't quite get to 40, which was kind of our next support, but almost got there. I do think today that this is one where I think it's pulled back enough from yesterday's pre-market high that it could bottom right in this area here. And that would put in a sustainable bottom for a move right back up to yesterday morning's resistance. So that's my thought on that one. ENDP made an 8 ATR move. You only see that maybe once every couple of months. So right on the open was 14. I took out the pre-market high. You can see on the tape the person buying right here 15. It was a little stubborn not covering my last piece, but it did have a pretty clean reversal from the 17. And I think a bunch of people caught this because it had the hard down below 17. We saw the weakness. Basically, the conservative way to trade this. Obviously, people I'm sure traded from long from 15 to at least 16 here. Then it was very extended. Went up another $1. Had the hard down. Once it had this hard down, I actually was pretty aggressively trying to get short once it got close to 17, and I couldn't get any additional prints. So all my prints were like from here and here. And then it had the hard down. I had to leave the desk at this time, so I kind of missed the move to VWAP in terms of holding any of my short to VWAP, but I was able to get long here. And then I just had offers up here and here to get out of 75% of it, and then it reversed. So, I mean, I think it's really hard to predict which way it's going to go today, just because the move was so outsized. I think there could be people who see the size of this move yesterday and they'll want to sell it today, and it'll come right back down to $15. I could also see people seeing, wow, people really bought this. If it gets above 16.5, maybe it actually digs out yesterday's high and goes up to 17.5, 18. So prepared for either one. PZZA. Our firm is still net short this, so very difficult for me to trade in the long. It had a really good bounce yesterday. I think we talked about it being a potentially good candidate for a bounce. It bottomed in the after hours the day before. Let's see what it did on the open. So it didn't really get to, we had this little range here, 37.80 to 38. It touched the 38, was bought, and then the buyers stepped up. And I thought people did a good job in the chat, and I think people caught this one. I thought Aaron did a really nice job of calling this on the break above 39, and it went up $2 from there. So this is a perfect example of kind of something that had news, it gapped down, it was already beaten down. The buyers stepped up higher in the pre-market than where they after hours. Right on the open, quick flush, then it comes up. You see very steady where the buyers exactly are here at 38.25, and it breaks to the upside, and then it has a clean bounce, $2. So I think probably some people were feeding it at 41. I think we have that as our potential second resistance, or maybe even our first resistance. And then once it came to 40, I think the first thing to do was to look for the support there. It actually came into this, I think when we had our notes from the morning meeting, it actually held here, but it couldn't get back really above 40. And then once it took this out, sellers are in control below this band, and you play it right back down to where it broke out from, which was here. So for today, yeah, I mean, it pretty much steadily sold off the rest of the day. So I guess I would use, if it pops into this area here into 40, it's a short. If it comes into 38 again, you can look to see if it's bought here. If it flushes into here and then gets back above, let's say 38.20, we have a pretty good trading band right there. That's it.